What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Bless. This is the MOT Podcast. To the left of me, I got my co-host Lemme-Kno, and today I have a very special guest coming all the way, just flew in from Europe, Mr. Veikko Fuhrmann in the building. Thank you very much for being here, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Right?
You're missing the applause button, man.
Yeah, we're going to get
your problem.
Right?
Yeah.
It's on me. Next episode.
Make a note of that. We need an applause button. So it's been a couple months since I've seen you, my brother. How has everything been? You've been on a whirlwind. Tell us about it.
I try not to be here in the winter, so that's why you haven't seen me in a while.
That's right. From our last conversation, you were on tour in Europe.
I just came back from 4 weeks with Daddy Yankee in Europe.
Amazing.
Little whirlwind tour, 16 shows, I think 22 days, 23 days from Poland to Germany to Spain, Ibiza, Italy, Tel Aviv. 12,000 crazy people in Tel Aviv dancing reggaeton.
They love reggae and they love reggaeton. They love that. That's always been popular.
They had an amazing time. And now I'm here for a quick show at the Beach Club in Montreal tomorrow. And thanks for having me. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you for coming. Long overdue. When we started the podcast, you were one of the first people I had in mind who I wanted to, pick their brain and get them on here. I think you have a very unique story of how you kind of got into this whole insane business and came to be the impresario that you are. Tell us a little bit about, how you got started in the game. And I know it involves Ricky Martin.
Well, it was kind of... I think everything I've done so far in my life to the point where I am today I was given an opportunity, and we all walk a path in our life, and at some point you have to decide if you're going to go left or right, and every opportunity that came was kind of like presented to me in a very short-term decision-making process. It's like you want to do this or you don't, and so back when I'm actually from Germany, I'm from a small town outside of Cologne called Düren.
Okay.
Cologne, big rock and roll city in Germany. Everybody has been there that plays music. I started off back there. I have a financial degree, and in the summer days, I was going into the music business. One of my friends kind of asked me to help him out in the summer working with a band called the Kelly Family, which is an Irish folk band living in Germany at that time. That was in 1993. Tall, 6'6" guy, speaking English was very helpful to them. And that was one of the first steps. Started, keeping that business, working on the weekends, moonlighting, helping my friend Angelo out in his company, and just keep on growing. And
so it was more like security, promotions.
Yeah, it was event security. It was looking after artists. I think that's how I started always, and I think that's how I kept my philosophy in this business.
Being very hands-on, of course.
Always having the artist's back. From everything I've done always in my life is always having the artist back, and that's been like my punchline, I would say. Every artist needs a tall friend.
I saw that on the website.
Yeah.
Hence why we were joking off camera that me and you are Arnold and DeVito. We are twins.
Yeah, the twins. It's a remake 2020.
We got the beards. We got the all black outfits.
Yep.
We're ready to rock.
Got it all going. Matrix meets twins.
I like that.
Yep.
I like that.
So back to the story in Germany. I started off being an event security translator for a lot of the bands that came over to Germany. Worked with a lot of big German promoters. It was kind of a whirlwind. Working on the financial side as a daytime job, and then on the weekends working in the music business, which was kind of exhilarating to see live music as its best. Every night, 8 o'clock, the lights go out, the crowd goes berserk, and it's that happy moment that I think we're all chasing in the live business, that 1 second after the lights go out, the first bar in the music and the whole arena, club, whatever size venue you're in, goes upside down, and you have 2 hours of forgetting all the shit in life. You know, I think you know what I really like about working in the live music business is that you know we're helping the artist, or I'm helping the artist, you know, kind of erase everybody's sorrows for 1 hour, for 2 hours, whatever you want to call it, and everybody goes home happy. You know, so it's almost like being
therapist.
No, it's almost like being an elf for the Santa Claus. You know, you're kind of helping making everybody happy. So if you consider the artist being Santa Claus, you know, I'll consider myself an elf.
I give you a reindeer. A reindeer.
Maybe I'm more of the elf.
Not really.
More,
you know,
maybe I'm more of the elf.
More elf than reindeer?
Well, I don't do, you know, short people jokes. So I'm glad you took that for yourself.
So that's something that's very interesting. You coming from live, and a lot of people in the music business, when record sales, you know, plummeted, they kind of, you know, everybody wanted to move into live because that's where the tangible buck everybody kind of knows now. But you kind of, I think, have a unique perspective because you came from the live and you are still in the live.
Well, it's never going to change, right? Like, if you go 2,000 years back, you know, but there was nothing going on. It was always live music.
There was no recorded music.
There's no recorded music. It was just like grab the guitar and start playing, you know. That's and right. I don't think that has changed in any way. You know, you're looking at the Rolling Stones, U2. You're looking at, you know, who's in Vegas right now, who's still touring, who's breaking the records. Ed Sheeran, I think, is the perfect example. You know,
poster boy for that. Yeah.
Making almost $500 million by. I don't know if you guys know the show, but it's just him and the guitar and the loop pedal. You know, no band, nothing. It's just a huge stage.
And he's killing
it. Man, that's amazing. You know,
to connect. That's talent.
To connect. Just going out there and to connect to the audience with your music and your ability to loop yourself and understanding chords and different things and making people happy. You know, Wembley Stadium. You know, there's no flying. There is no pyro. There's not. It's just him,
like an acoustic
video
show,
and,
like an unplugged, but in a big
and everybody knows the songs. It's just a big sing along. You know, and I think that's
smart.
That's what people want. You know, people want to have a good time.
Absolutely.
And they want to be engaged and they want to be part of the experience. You know,
it always bothered me when an artist wouldn't address the crowd like on an individual basis. It sounded rehearsed, like he did it 75 times before. You know,
and just inserted the name of the city. You know, Montreal,
right?
Are you ready? That's it. And everything's the same cookie cutter show.
You know, not. And I have to say, you know, being in this for almost. Long, you know, for almost more than half of my life, and I've seen so many performers on stage, off stage, behind the stage, after the show, before the show, and I think, you know, some people are studio musicians that have to go on stage, and other people are live musicians that, you know, probably have the same problems going to the studio. You know, I think everybody has a different
strength,
forte and strength, and you know. It's you have to learn both ways. You have to learn how to be a good songwriter. You have to learn how to be a good producer. You have to learn how to be a good stage musician. You know, you gotta perfect your craft in any kind of way. I have to perfect my craft. You have to perfect your craft. Everybody here, you know, whatever we do in life, you have to give it your best. You know?
And the goal should be to master the craft, and we're forever learning.
Well, you know, I think every show is different. Mm-hmm. That's why I really enjoy the live business. You know, every venue is different, every crowd is different, every language in that city you're in is different. Every song that the audience likes is different. There's not always the favorite song in each city. Mm-hmm. So it's like a new challenge every day, and I think that's what you, as a live musician, should really, really enjoy, you know, and the connection with the band. Sometimes you play on a Sunday and everybody's tired because they were drinking all weekend, you know, and you got to get them back on your feet. Sometimes, you know, you don't need to do anything on the Friday night. Everybody's ready to go and party. You just need to basically drop the first chord and the arena ignites.
That's right.
You know, sometimes you go to a country where they don't even speak your language, you know, so why even talk to them? But you should. You know, it's like So it's a craft, you know. There is a way for you. You have to learn it, you know. I think there's young artists, 17, 18 years old, that enjoy themselves doing it, but they need to learn how to address the crowd. They need to learn how to pick a set list, you know, and like
that's an art unto its own.
It is.
A lot of people can write and produce incredible albums, but the live aspect is a totally different forte, and I couldn't agree with you more. You know, even within hip hop.
So Bless, let me ask you a question though. You're a recording artist, right?
Oh, here it is.
So how many shows have you done in your life?
Hundreds.
Right. So how many albums have you done in your life?
5.
Okay. When was your last album?
2.5 years ago.
Why?
Well, right now we were between situations, like between deals, and we were just going single by single. But I actually do have a show July 19th in Ottawa coming up.
In Ottawa? Nice. Okay. So you're finally picking up again.
Picking back up with the music. We kind of spent the last year kind of bringing this project to life because I wanted to start a little platform. I thought that communication was missing in our city, and I thought that I had so many, great friends such as yourself with so many amazing stories.
And people didn't know you like this. They didn't get to hear Bless talk.
You know what I mean?
Bless
they knew me as
doesn't
an
talk.
artist or in nightlife,
Right.
but they never got a chance to see that side of me. And my co-host actually, Lemme-Kno, he was part of Epic Mealtime. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Nope.
But they went really viral. They were like the first.
We're like platinum on YouTube. That's
They had a cooking show where they would do extreme shit.
million in a day every time we put out a video. It was dumb for a bunch of years, but like all good things, it comes to an end, right? But we had a nice run.
Well, you better be proud of it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You know?
They did some interesting things, and you know, we all have our glory stories, but at the end of the day, I wanted to kind of give a different perspective because you know a lot of people don't get to talk to a guy like Viko. They're not fortunate to get to really pick your brain and understand the dynamics of what you do because what you do is multifaceted. But to answer your question, I've been in the studio like a month. Actually, you've been to the studio just producing, trying to send shit out to other people and diversify. But I actually finally do feel I want to play you some shit. Like I'm ready. Like I have a couple records and
Hey, Bless, am I coming to Ottawa?
Yeah, of course. Come July 19th.
I'm in.
Isn't that where you bring in the whole setup to Ottawa and you do the same
I
shit
would love
there?
to. Yeah, I got some shit.
Oh, you
in
mean
Ottawa.
like a podcast?
Shouldn't you do that on the road? Like
Eventually.
take it on the road backstage?
We definitely want to, and with Oshiaga coming up and all that shit, we're definitely trying to line a bunch of stuff up in accordance with that. But yeah, no, I'm actually on an artist tip, super duper looking forward to that. And I kind of made my bones and learned, I was Guru from Gangstar's hype man for many years. So I was fortunate enough to soak up game and to learn from the best. And, they definitely taught me that rocking a crowd and making a record are two totally different disciplines. Yeah. And, there's, old school rappers like KRS-One and LL Cool J, all the way up until, the Busta Rhymes that I just as a young MC would study because a lot like Ed Sheeran, guys like KRS and LL didn't need nothing fancy, just the fucking playback and the mic, and they could really command the crowd. And, in hip hop, the MC is the master of ceremony. Mm-hmm. So you're supposed to master the ceremony, not just rap.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And be a host and be a party rocker first and foremost. And that's a discipline that not everybody has, No,
it's all about creating the experience, right? And I think we talked about it before. It's like, you can either, have your 2-hour show or even if it's I think it's even harder to have a 30-minute show and let the crowd go out wanting more. I think that typical of like special guest 30-minute before the main act, I think it's very crucial,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of main acts are forgetting to select their support acts. I think they're all just being, given away and there's no thought on it. But
yeah, like to align themselves even like niche and vibe wise with what would gel.
Yeah,
with
I think
audience.
back in the days, you just mentioned it. It's like I think a lot of people would pick the DJ before they go on, or they would have someone from the family or whoever is part of the crew open up because when they go out they want to make sure that the crowd's on fire, so they just need a little spark to ignite them, and I think that important slot as a direct support is not being paid attention to anymore.
I even I opened for Mobb Deep a couple of years ago, and R.I.P. Prodigy just before he passed away. And literally there was a couple of other openers, and I volunteered right away. I said, I'll go first. Because I knew what I was going to do.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to kill it. And then they would be ready for Mobb Deep, and good luck to whoever's after me.
Yeah.
Rather than, them dwindling out and being like, fuck you, bring Mobb Deep on right now. I came in there, energy was full. They were ready to see a show, gave it my all, crushed it. I was like, you guys ready for Mobb Deep? Well, I don't know when they're up.
You got 4 hours to go.
That's the fucker move. But everybody want to be Hollywood, like, oh, I don't want to go first. I said, oh, I'll go first. I said, oh, bless you, sure you don't mind? Because we don't mind if you go right before I said, absolutely, bro.
Yeah.
I'll go on 8:45. Let these guys come on at midnight, and the show will already be done by the time I get off. And good luck dealing with the crowd's fury.
On the bigger shows, and I'm saying like arenas, and this is something that I have no idea about, so please help me understand. The smaller acts, are they chosen by the artist that's headlining, or is that done through the management and who's producing the tour? Who makes those decisions?
I think it's a case-by-case situation where, a lot of
booking agents.
Well, there's a lot of politics involved. There's a lot of label politics involved.
Sure.
There's a lot of internal management. There's some artists that, are very specific about bringing or discovering talent and bringing them on tour with them. Way back, I think it's almost 10 years ago, I worked with Regina Spektor, who was basically friends with the Kings of Leon, and they took her on the road just with her keyboard, and she nailed it for them on an arena run like crazy, and built her audience, and they were friends, and they handpicked her and said, hey, that's the artist we want to open for us. I think.
And then there's the big tours too, right? Which is like 6 headliners. Like,
well, then you have the festivals,
right.
Which
I'm
is
saying like the Def Jam one back in the day kind of started it for me. The rock one with
co-headliners and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Vans Warped Tour, all these different things. I think that's where the flavor of the year is coming out. You got the big headliners, you get the newcomers, you got the politics where the booking agent of the big headliner is like, no, but I have this upcoming band. It's all about leverage. It's all about your network. It's all about leverage, and sometimes it doesn't really work with the crowd. I think a lot of artists don't really care. Like they might just get to the venue 5 minutes before they're on stage, and they really don't know who's opening up for them. And that usually happens a lot when you do like European tours or international tours, because
sometimes they sell out the slots territorially.
Well, there's also a very, very interesting system around the world, where the local government actually tells you that you need to have a local support act. So it's very much like if you want to play in their country, you got to make sure you support their own talent, which I think is actually a really, really good thing.
Yeah, it gives a fair shake to
it's like you're bringing a huge artist to a stadium, and why not give a chance to a local
and not
act,
always a chance. Even some big artists that we may not know about, you might know, but like the average person doesn't know about, it could be huge in their country.
Yeah, exactly.
and give a boost to the artist too, right?
Absolutely, and it just gives them an opportunity to also showcase the local arts.
Dope,
I think that should never be underestimated.
Absolutely.
So what's going on tonight? Tomorrow night. This is Daddy Yankee. You've been with him for.
I just started working with Daddy this year.
Well, before we go there, I kind of know that you've done a lot, obviously, and you've been in this business many years, but you kind of, I feel like, found your niche within Latin music in the last decade and a half. Am I correct to say that?
Well, I think I got my start. I got my first opportunity when I was working for Luciano Pavarotti in Italy in 1999.
Sick.
I didn't even know that.
That's dope.
At his festival. It's a little story that I always forget to tell.
Please share.
So the company I was working for in Germany was always looking after Luciano Pavarotti on the international security side, and.
When you say company, which company were you working for?
I don't endorse any more companies.
Fair.
The security company he worked with.
Okay.
He was doing security.
Fair.
We're gonna cut that out anyway. But so I was called to work in Italy for the Luciano Pavarotti organization. That week I was supposed to look after Michael Jackson.
Wow.
He was announced to come and perform at the Pavarotti and Friends concert. And, day one goes by, he never got on the plane. Day two goes by, he never got on the plane. And a colleague of mine was looking after a singer at that time from Puerto Rico. And it was a big commotion. It was a big crowd just waiting for him outside the hotel. And my colleague asked me for some assistance. He was like, "Hey, can you go help us out?" And so I started helping him out. And the artist at that time was Ricky Martin.
Was a big deal.
So I got introduced to the managers and to the personal managers, and we had a great working relationship there for the week. And so Michael Jackson never showed up, so I stuck around, helping my colleague out to work with Ricky Martin. And I guess we did a great job because they called me a week later to go and fly to Japan and work with him in Japan.
Amazing.
So me being 22 years old, I was like, I guess pack my bags and
You're going to fucking Japan, and you bet it, right?
going to Japan.
Yeah.
And at that time it was his moment with the Grammys, and it was his moment with Living La Vida Loca. So got on the plane to Japan. Never been to Japan. Never been on a 11 or 12 hour long flight.
Yeah.
22 years old, and
Cool.
Let's just go.
It's an
Let's do
experience,
this.
Of course.
I had the international experience of working with a lot of different people, with the Rolling Stones, with U2. It was all mainly in Europe, though.
This was prior to this.
Yeah, so
meeting
that was,
with,
it
Ricky
was the
Martin.
first big international trip to Japan, and it worked out really well. I worked there for a week, and I kind of like established a relationship, and started working with him as the head of security for his Living La Vida Loca tour. And 3 years later, I kind of woke up, be like, "Oh, Living La Vida Loca is over." that was 2001. After he took the first break, and I continued working in that field, and continued working with Ricky Martin. It took 1999. It took 16 years until I finished working with him.
Wow.
So you went from a security role, I guess, later to a management role.
Well, I went basically. So from head of security, I went to tour manager. From tour manager, I went to creative producer. I went to tour director, basically, and then for about 3 years, at the end, I was his manager. Yeah, so I did basically.
He trusted you. You did every job.
I worked everything in that organization, and I'm very thankful for every opportunity he's given me.
Absolutely.
And I was happy to pay that favor back at the end of the day. And
absolutely.
And it's it was an amazing experience. And working in a crossover environment. Being German, being raised German, not speaking Spanish, to a point where I was so integrated into the Puerto Rican community, the Puerto Rican family. Everybody in the band, and everybody there was Latino, and I was the only white guy, German gringo, that didn't speak Spanish. But I guess I was a great addition to the team, and
absolutely,
and I kind of. It helped me grow as a person to understand your different cultures, and also open up a little bit more to the world, and thanks to that crossover, moving to Miami, working in his office, working with all the people there. I met my wife. She produced the Ricky Martin Unplugged,
nice,
and
cool.
and for MTV Latin America. So I got plugged at the Unplugged at the end of the day. So,
got plugged at the Unplugged.
So
you ended up moving to Miami.
Moving to Miami. That was in 2005.
And after years of working with Ricky Martin, you were obviously well positioned in the Latin music.
Well, it's. I think the Latin music just is very similar to your urban hip hop world. It's all based on trust, right? It takes a long time to really establish the trust,
build those relationships,
and make people understand who you are as a person. I mean, obviously, being German and moving in a world that is, you're not native to, like you don't understand a lot of things, but being around the Latin community, it was I think it's still one of the most beautiful things that have ever happened to me.
Absolutely.
And embracing a culture that is not yours, and being welcomed into a culture that is not yours. And it took me quite some time, but I picked up learning Spanish. I picked up learning Puerto Rican, I speak it now. I write it now. I understand it fluently, and I think that helped me even more. Growing into that community and understanding, where they come from.
Yeah.
And also understand what is missing on their end.
Infrastructure-wise.
To also go into a world that they don't understand.
Crossover.
So working with someone like Ricky Martin, who is, clearly the biggest crossover star in the world. Mm-hmm. And having seen, the lavish lifestyle of the end of the 90s, where platinum records and diamond records, where
money was
there
huge.
was no social media, where there was no connection. You had to go from country to country to even promote your music. It had to be TV shows. It had to be award shows. It had to be live music
in stores, and all of that.
to get to a point in 2005 where the whole industry crashed.
That's right.
Napster showed up, and now it's like there's no more revenue for the labels, and
YouTube starts to explode, and everything's on demand.
And seeing how slow the industry reacted to the changes,
they were
and
not
also
ready.
How it affected an artist. It's like you're going and being able to like have all these big budgets and video budgets, and then at some point the people that supported you for 6, 7, 10 years all gone. They've all been fired. They've been like, oh, there's a merger. There's this going on. The people that you called yesterday are not there today anymore.
Tell me about it. I started in that early 2000s, mid 2000s, when these labels would hold your hand and chase you and book your sessions and throw money at you, and then all of a sudden it implodes. You're left to your own devices. It's every man for themselves, and the people who used to cut your check aren't even in the business anymore.
Right. And and I think it's I think it goes back to where I saw the business change all the time, and the one consistent thing that's always been there is live music.
And I think you were very well positioned, first of all, from your background in '93, starting in live music. I've seen you. I've been fortunate enough to see you work. Viko was nice enough to invite me and my producer out to a couple shows that he produced. He brought Nicky Jam to the Bell Center. He also brought Romeo Santos. And I've been around a lot, and I've seen a lot of people stressing out over details. And the way that I saw Viko handling, a stadium show was just flawless, effortless. I was very impressed that it just didn't faze him. He had a small team. He had me and my boy there, and it went off without a hitch. And I think a lot of people were maybe skeptical when you had this vision, and then now look at not even 2 years later, Latin music it was already kicking ass on the charts.
Well, I gotta be honest. It's like I think it was the only 2 shows in Montreal and the only 2 shows in Toronto. We're talking about major downtown mainstream venues.
Yes.
Nobody has repeated that yet.
I
woke up to it and I was like, you know what? I did my research.
Yeah.
It was like Latinos are not niche artists anymore.
That's right.
They
They're
are
not represented in Canada.
Mainstream artists.
Yeah.
But they're still being treated as niche artists. Go in the suburbs. Go to Laval.
And Quebec was late to the party. Absolutely.
And I think the one thing that I noticed with Canada is like, and it was always my philosophy is like, I don't think Latinos in Canada are Latinos. I think they're Canadians first.
Right.
When my difference was, or my thought was always like, okay, I've seen Latinos live all over the world, right? Like if you work with a Puerto Rican artist, you go. We've been to Australia, we've been to New Zealand, we've been anywhere in the world. We've been to China, we've been to Japan. Latinos are everywhere.
Of course.
Right? they love their culture. They're excited about every time someone comes and represents their culture anywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. And I think there's also the fact that, listen, let's say you have a Colombian friend. Mm-hmm. He tells you, hey, we're going to go to Laval, or he tells you, hey, we're going to go down to the Bell Center. What's more attractive to you?
Bell Center, obviously.
Because that's where you go see Drake, and that's where you go see The Weeknd, and Taylor Swift, and Katy Perry, and everybody is like, yeah, I know the venue. I know exactly where I go to eat. I know where I'm going to have a drink afterwards. I know where I can sit. I know where I can. So it was my philosophy basically to make sure that Latinos are not being treated as second-class citizens. Yeah. When they come and do concerts, because that's when you also single out their audience and say, listen, you're not good enough for the big arena.
So this is an ethnic show and push it out.
You go out into the suburbs, into some shitty ice rink. Yeah.
Place Bell. You said it, Laval. You go to Place Bell, which is the smaller one.
Well, the Place Bell is actually really nice.
Yeah, it is a beautiful place, but it's not the Bell Center.
It's a beautiful
place. It's the little
place.
brother.
I'm more talking about there was venues before that.
Oh yeah, there was
the
a lot of
metropolises and shit.
Where you don't see the production. You can't bring your production. It all looks like it should not be here.
They were like a glorified hall kind of shows.
But at the end, you're still being charged $150 a night. For a bad experience. For the same experience, you can be at the Bell Center.
So how do you make that jump? I mean, I love that you did it, but
here's the thing. Here's the thing. He was able to do it after 15 years on the road with the top of the top. He kind of mastered those pitfalls that so many Johnny-come-lately promoters fall into. Right? Everybody who has a little money to invest gets excited and they want to do it, but they get swallowed in the details. And obviously, Viekko was in a position to not.
It's different producing a club show or a discotheque, right? And it's a lot of these promoters are going out and be like, I'm gonna
try this,
take that and put it out, and I'm gonna treat it like a club, and and I'm just gonna want to make money on the bar, and I don't really care about the ticket prices and the experience. But again, it's coming back to an experience.
Absolutely.
It's very simple. If we would sit here in a podcast room and you would have 3 wooden chairs, right, and some shitty mics and some horrible GoPros, I would probably walk out again. Yeah. But it's actually making me feel good to be here, to look at professional setup, and that's something that I think in life everybody wants.
1,000%.
Anywhere you go, you'll want a good experience. It's not really about the money. It's about the feeling, right? It's all about energy. It's
absolutely, and it's about your audience walking away being pleasantly surprised with the level of production and being like, when Viekko brings a show, I'm going to fucking go because I know these guys are about their shit, and there's going to be no bad experiences, no clown shit, no last minute surprises. We did a fantastic after party even after, where I had to get his buddy's hat back. These dudes were trying to press his boy.
We were blessed.
These dudes were trying to press his boy. I had to go get his hat back. That was random. It was like, the guy, what was the story? Some guy took his buddy's hat off of his head, and it's his, his company hat, it had his shit. So he's repping. And then the girl's dancing on a dude, and she took the hat trying to be cute. And then I don't think he minded that because whatever. He thought the girl was flirting, but the girl's with another dude, and then the dude's like, nah, I'm not giving you your hat back. Here's $50, trying to impress the girl. And then he comes to me and he goes, I don't want to make a problem. It's not my city, but this guy won't give me my hat back. And I'm like, who won't give you your hat back?
Yeah, where are we?
I'm like, who won't give you your hat back? So
this guy's a little elephant here.
So I go up to
I don't remember any of that.
So I go up to the wall. That's because you were wasted at the table.
If you knew about this in 6'6", there might have been a different problem.
Well, we were just having a good time, and this guy just busted his ass to fucking do 2 concerts back to back. Right. You know what I mean? And I don't want to bother him for such a stupid detail, but I talked to the guy diplomatically and nicely, and he saw the reasonableness and not causing chaos, and he gave him the hat back, and then he actually ended up apologizing, and we all had a drink, and all was good.
Way it should be.
But
let me ask you something. So, out of the questions for the both of you. So, out of your experience, what was your favorite live concert so far in your life?
That I went to, or that I was part of?
No, that you went to. That you've seen with your own eyes, and you're like, wow.
Can I grab this one?
Sure, go for it. You start.
It's more personal for me, and the reason being is because I had a friend who was in the business, and we made a delivery to Snoop's hotel room before his show. And we sat with Snoop for probably about an hour and a half.
I don't think it was Kentucky Fried Chicken, right?
No.
It wasn't pizza either, huh?
We sat with Snoop. I was probably about 20, 21 years old. We sat with Snoop for probably 2-3 hours, kicking it, smoking joints, listening to music, talking shit. I said something along the lines of like, last time you were in town, you didn't do anything off of Doggy Style. Do you have like anything planned? And the first thing he came out with was with a live band to What's My Name. And I'm just like, I looked around and I was going like this, like I did this, guys. So that was mine. That was a special moment.
Okay.
And Busta Rhymes was in that show. I saw Busta Rhymes for the first time.
Yeah.
Busta Rhymes probably the best live performer.
Where
I've ever
was this
seen.
show?
It was at the Bell Center.
I think I was there. That was a good show.
What's the guy who had I Ain't Never Scared? Remember that song? Punisher.
Bone Crusher.
Bone Crusher. So
Yeah, I think I was actually at that show
It's a great
and
one.
ended up getting into a fight at a strip club with the scummy manager who looked like Ron Jeremy.
Okay.
I remember that night.
Fair enough. Bone Crusher got on, and his song was like inciting riots at the time. There was problems with it. I ain't
Yeah.
never scared. I ain't never scared.
yeah.
And he said, go to the security. And I felt bad because the security are like young, hired staff. They're not real security.
No,
Yeah.
not at the
And-
Bell Center.
exactly.
They're nice.
And
They're
like,
super nice.
Big, full-grown dudes are screaming in his face. I ain't never scared. And it's like, it's going to be a problem soon.
They're like ushers.
Yeah, they kind of.
yeah,
And they're
yeah,
so
exactly.
nice,
Yeah.
That's it. That was the one.
I would have to say personal moment. First time I played in Cali with Guru, who I grow up, he's one of my favorite rappers. And we played House of Blues in LA, which is such a legendary event. So for me, that was a very cathartic moment. And I remember he was doing, I think it was Mass Appeal. And he said, when this song hits, that's your cue to come out, back me up. We'll do this many songs and I'll let you do one of yours. And then I just remember like doing the ad libs to like my favorite songs in high school and just taking 2 seconds to look to be like,
This is
is this
happening.
even real? And then that moment was like, no matter what happens moving forward, it's already been so fun
This
to
is
this
bucket
point.
list.
It was worth it, you
Right.
know? So that was a moment. And then one of the craziest live shows that I ever saw, hip hop wise, we're just going gutter here, was KRS-One. The motherfucker was throwing out autographed tennis balls, and that's when that step into a world, he brought 2 b-boys from New York City Breakers
Mid-90s.
who were spinning on their head. This is like
Mid to late
97,
90s.
96, whatever.
Yeah.
And bro, the mic control, the crowd control that he had with just that one mic really had me in awe to be like, okay, this live shit is an art. Because KRS to me, and some people might debate me, he was never my favorite lyricist, but definitely after that experience, one of my favorite live performers, because it was hip hop at its purest form.
Mic controller.
One
You
mic,
said it before. Master of ceremonies.
one mic and a DJ. Bigger productions. Absolutely loved the Hard Knock Life tour. That was kind of Def Jam in its commercial peak.
That was special.
When Method Man and Redman came out on fucking Suspended in the Air Flying, and Jay-Z
the
still had
stage.
the do-rag, and DMX was there, and that was like when hip-hop started entering like that crossover that you talked
Right.
about.
Can we flip it back? What was your favorite?
Wow.
Right,
Well-
you've been through a lot. Like number one all time. Maybe there's a moment that was like the pinnacle. Something that
Interestingly enough, I don't go to shows. Right? I rarely go to concerts.
Okay, so
Well,
what
I'm
about
sure
you?
it's because it's like when you bartend, you don't want to go for a
Right.
drink on your
But what
day
about
off.
what about actually being in the venue, working and having like
I had the amazing privilege to work with Queen, right, with the band
Wow.
Queen,
Wow.
and
Where?
they,
What was the?
they came back with a singer called Paul Rogers.
Okay.
As a frontman in 2005, and so
Europe, or North America.
it was in Europe, and it was a big run. It was one of those funny opportunities that I had because I was in Cologne working for a promoter there, and they called us, I think on a Sunday night, said we have Brian May and Roger Taylor in town tomorrow. We need someone to drive them around, and I jumped in the car, drove Brian for a week in Cologne while he was auditioning the We Will Rock You musical cast in Cologne.
Nice.
And we got along really well. And, you know, at the end of the whole run, he was like, hey, you know, we're going on tour. You want to come? I'm like, sure. Yeah.
That seems to be a reoccurring theme with my boy Viekko. I feel like the same thing happened to you with Romeo Santos.
Well, you know, I think, you know, going back to, I don't want to lose that question, but going back to that moment is like, you know, we went to Sheffield, which is Freddie Mercury's hometown.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And you know, it was a special day, being around such an iconic band
in his hometown,
and them playing, you know, ever since Freddie died, it was the first time they came back to Sheffield to play a show with a different frontman.
Nice.
You know, so and I know, you know, that they were all friends for a very long time, as you know, everybody knows the movie now. I mean, they were a unit, right? And coming back and seeing, you know, Freddie's family there. The mom was at the show.
Nice.
You know, the whole family was at the show, and being able to feel, you know, that audience, you know, singing every single lyric.
Doesn't get much bigger than
from
Queen.
Top to bottom, you know.
How many, like, was it a field, like a festival? Or?
It was 2 hours of, you know, and it was 2 hours of you know, of your hair standing on your arm, and it was like, you know, I'm actually getting paid, you know, to do this job and experience that moment,
special,
you know,
right?
and being in, you know, around the stage and feeling that, you know, magical energy there, and you know, and then at the end, you know, they throw Freddie singing live, you know, on the video screen, and the whole
burst
crowd
into tears,
goes completely nuts. You know, I think those are moments that you know, that I will never forget in my life. You know, being able to work with Queen.
I feel like you've had so many of those, but that one was just like, no, but that one was like the amplified one. Like that was the one that, like, there's always that rush, that feeling.
That, you know, I think it's specific to each band I've worked with. You know, it's like working with Ricky Martin. I mean, there's so many different ones. You know, it's like from like little things to where you know, you work with an openly gay man and you perform at the Voice in Beirut, you know, and you see that he's being, you know, aired to 40 different Muslim countries, you know, as an openly gay man. And it's like,
the big
you
fucking
know,
deal.
Nobody thinks about it, but you know,
It's
those are little
groundbreaking.
things for
It's
me
groundbreaking.
in my life, where I'm like, those are milestones that people might not really care about, you know,
or even realize in the moment.
Yeah, or you know, how significant it is for the world, not just for him or for me. Or it's actually something that, you know,
historic. You're part of history.
You know, music has no. First of all, for me, music has no language. You know, music has no religion. Music is a universal language that works all over the world, you know.
And when you think about it, music is the one thing nobody in the world can say they don't like.
Right.
Literally. Is the only thing, and it
You're
definitely
a real pervert if you don't like music, eh?
and even the most perverted people, I'm sure, like some sort of weird music, but it definitely transcends everything, and that's what makes it powerful.
Well, I think one thing is you know, when you see that, you know, billionaires are hanging around rock stars, right? Because that feeling you can't buy, right? You can't, like, that moment. The moment you are a performing artist, you're on stage and you have, you know, 5 people in front of you screaming at you, or 500,000.
That's right.
You know, it's like that's something that you know, you can do a lot with money in this world.
But that kind of power,
that, you know, power you can't buy.
I've done some really, like, glamorous gigs where I get to, you know, perform with fucking Akon, you know, in front of 20,000 people, and I've done some gigs that I was hyped to do, but the promoter was an amateur. He dropped the ball, and you end up playing to 7 people in a spot. And my philosophy was, well, we came all the way here. Let's fucking have fun. At very worst, we're rehearsing. And those people will never forget that I actually made the effort. Because, you know, it's all fine and dandy to be hype when you're in front of, you know, 15,000, 20,000 people, or when you're, you know, opening for your favorite group. But, you know, you can't forget that if you're a professional, you give 100% no matter what.
You should be grateful because those people didn't leave.
Not only that,
they could have seen your face and be like, why do I need to listen to this guy?
There you go.
So they wanted to see you, so you got to,
Absolutely. And I take that very seriously. And, those are the times, even if it's not 7 people, even if there's just 100 people, you actually get to connect with those people. And those people will be your diehard supporters more so than the 5,000 people that aren't there to see you. And sometimes you do a gig for small money and, they see you went the extra mile for them and you busted your ass and they'll buy all your merch. You'll triple your money because they want to support you. Because
and they'll call you back if they have something else too.
You know what I mean?
Listen, there's the theory of the super fan, right? Which I don't think it's even a theory; it's actually reality. So
talk about that, please.
You need 5,000, I think, is the number, right?
Well,
is it 5,000 fans that are willing to buy it, and then you're?
It depends on how much rent you have to pay every month.
Depends what your overhead is.
But it's we live in a world where everything's free, right? Likes are for free, views are for free. Like there's little effort for a fan. Actually, you don't call them fan. You call them followers, right?
Of course.
So there's a difference between fans and followers. Followers do everything that is for free, right? They like your post. They stream you for free. They don't pay for it. They go to YouTube and they watch your video for free. Everything's for free, right?
Yeah.
They check your Insta story for free. They don't need to pay for it. And then there's fans, right? They follow you. They promote you. They actually pay for things that you offer to them. They are the ones that finance your career, that
supporters,
that support you, and there is, for every young artist out there, there's nothing more important than building fans, because they will be there forever. They will support you if you have good music or bad music. They will come to your show and use their hard-earned money or the money they had to beg for from their parents or borrow from a friend or however they get their money, to pay for a ticket. If it's $10, if it's $100, if it's $200, if they like your T-shirt design or whatever, they buy your merch because they want to be connected to you.
Absolutely.
So I think a lot of artists in this world forget the step of connecting to an audience. Like, there's back in the days, I'm sure you had the best examples. There's the radio artists play at every festival. They're always there. They have the #1 radio hits. They're around all year. Wonderful, amazing, and they make great music. They make great pop music. But when it comes to selling out a club for 500 people, they don't sell the tickets. Because they just don't connect. They don't create
have that core
experience.
following.
And so I think actually someone locally, that sells 200 tickets here in Montreal
is a better look than
is on the long
Give
run
me some
building
passion.
is actually really going through the steps.
That's right.
The 200 people this year, the 500 next year, then maybe the festival opening slot at 2
Someone that's on
p.m.
the
without the lights, without the video, just in the dire sun with 5 people in front of you.
Been there,
it's
done
just
that too.
it's just that's how you build your audience. That's when
Absolutely.
you go out and sign autographs. It's when you take your selfies. That's and I think you see that. I have to go back to Ed Sheeran. He started playing in the pub for beer. It's I think that builds your character. I think that really makes you a better performer.
Absolutely.
It makes you master the crowd. It makes you appreciate the crowd. And it's easy to. I don't think anything is easy anymore in this business. But we all know that
makes it manageable.
you could turn up the flame on the Spotify stream, or you can turn up the flame on YouTube, and
a lot
you
of
can
smoke
break
and mirrors.
You can break the numbers, but translating that to actually getting into a car, a van, driving from city to city, and having promoters book you, and promoters really want you in their town, and
That's
they
right.
understand, hey, this guy or this girl, this band, this DJ is bringing business to me, because it's a business, right? So being a good partner to a promoter, being a good partner to a venue, and them being good partners to you in exchange, while you're gone for 6 months, they're going to keep your name out there.
That's
they're going to
right.
help you, get other gigs because they want to be part of
They're
your
going to
career.
throw you other opportunities
that's-
because you actually connected with them. You built a relationship. You appreciated it.
Yeah.
Instead of partying and drinking your face off, you were like, "Yo, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm here if you ever need me." You know what I mean?
I think that's something that's really important, and also it's longevity, right? If you're an artist, if you're a real artist and you want to do this for the rest of your life, and I think I told you this, is like it's not a sprint, it's a marathon,
That's
right?
right.
Like your music career is going to be up and down. It's going to be a roller coaster of emotions. It's going to be,
100%.
it's going to be the good album, the bad album, the good song, the bad song.
Sometimes, and I'm sure you've seen this with groups you work with, you make a body of work that you're proud of, and it doesn't connect the way you hoped.
But here's the thing. You're not making art for the masses. You're making art for yourself.
Absolutely.
So whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to put on stage, whatever your concept is, you got to find your audience. Just like, a designer is going to have to find the people that want to buy his clothes. You're going to have to do it. The art has to come.
I love what you just said. That's such a gem. Do it for yourself and find the audience that will be receptive to it.
Yeah.
Because so many people get that ass backwards, right?
Well-
so many people are making music with an intended audience in mind.
Well, we fucked up when and it's not music, but we fucked up. We were the boys in the kitchen making these stupid meals, and then we went Hollywood. Then we moved out to LA, and there was a huge disconnect when we all learned how to use the cameras and actually make a show. The point that I'm making is, like, sometimes, like, the ghetto grimy shit that you were on your first album, when you get to your second album and you have a little bit of money, now you have to find a new fan base because you just grew up a little bit. You don't have the same, your responsibilities are different.
Well, you gotta make sure that you don't, that you stay true to yourself.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's a longer way. It's a lot more bumps. There's a lot more.
You got to adjust on the
people-
fly.
Well,
'Cause we didn't know what we did. And then people were like, there was a backlash. These guys aren't the same. They went Hollywood. Like, no, we didn't.
You're going to get that no matter what. That's the
But we
nature
were
of this.
growing. And, but the views went psh at that point.
there's a famous quote from David Bowie. That he basically says, "You never play for the gallery." Right? Always do what you feel as an artist you need to do.
Absolutely.
And the hardest part, and I think that's why I, for whatever reason, feel it's my calling to work with artists. If they're young, old, at the end of the day, every artist, no matter if they're how successful they are, every artist wakes up, and pretty much like a lot of people in the arts, they wake up every day to be rejected, right? I think rejection in our society is the harshest feeling to wake up to every day.
If you don't have thick skin, if you're not used to rejection, you have no future in this business.
But it's like, and I think the fear of rejection, I think is the hardest thing for an artist. But from day one, I think as an artist, you learn how to deal with rejection. And some people getting out of the process broken, and they need help, and they need people to surround them and keep pushing them and helping them to be the best artist they can. And some other artists have that, they build that wall around them. That's when you're like, oh, that guy's an asshole, or that guy is, he doesn't take care of his people. Or it's like, well, I mean, there's a very harsh reality to being an artist, because the art you create, not everybody's going to like it. So you have to go through that, and you're going to have to keep on going just to wake up every day and have the fear of rejection or being rejected, or but hey, you're going into someone's office, a label or Spotify or streaming, or back in the days to radio, and you play the music, and it's like, man, we don't like it, but for you it's the best work you've ever done.
Yeah, sure.
Just to have that in your mind, and then walk out the door, turn around, fuck you. I'm gonna keep on. I like it. I'm gonna keep on going. I'm gonna find my audience.
Of course.
I'm gonna, that whole determination. I mean, that's bravery.
Absolutely.
And
you have to tell them what they want sometimes. Sometimes you have to kind of force feed people to tell them because they don't know. Because any bit of change, right away they're gonna have something to say about it.
Well, I want to turn the camera now on an artist, right? Because I'm the guy behind the artist.
You consider what you do art?
Well, we haven't. You know what? Until about
is there an art to it?
Until about 2 months.
There's an art to it.
Until about 2 months ago, not.
I see him. I've seen you work, Viekko. There's an art to what you do.
But then I realized, it's like you're an artist too. I'm like, I'm not an artist. But
there's an art of what
there's
you
an
do.
art to what you
do.
So yeah, I think there is. But I think going back to being an artist. I mean, when was the first time you remember, creating your own music? How old were you there?
Probably 5.
Fuck yeah! I started writing, writing before I could write. Meaning, I started coming up with rhymes when I was maybe about 7 years old, 8 years old.
So, when was the first time you openly performed that or recorded it?
Very young. I started as kind of like a breakdancer, as a b-boy. So I was performing at like 8 years old, trying to qualify for Star Search, shit like that.
Right.
In the early hip hop.
So what was the first memory of rejection you remember?
I mean, from, people saying they were going to manage me.
No, like
to it not happening.
The first moment you really remember where someone told you, yo, you're not good enough.
Not good enough. I mean, I think, like I said,
was pretty sick with it though.
But here's the thing. I got pretty good at a very young age. So it wasn't like creative rejection where people didn't encourage me because I was pretty ahead of the curve, but continuous rejection on the business side, false promises, people saying, I'll give you this opportunity, it never coming to fruition. And then, as in my early teenage years, 13, 14, going to different labels, trying to get signed, people not understanding the vision, either because, I wasn't from, Brooklyn or Compton, or if I was, because I was a white kid. And I don't think it was anybody, whose opinion I respected that didn't think I had talent. They just didn't know how to market me. This is pre-Eminem.
Right.
Of course, it's pre-Drake.
I feel like he had a point, though. He wants you to say you got rejected.
Well, I did get rejected in basically every label that I rapped for in New York did not pick me up until finally I had an offer from Fred Durst. And then once he kind of gave me that offer, that gave me some leverage where some doors started to open and people started to take me seriously.
So what made you wake up the next morning and keep on going?
Despite being rejected from every label in New York at the time.
Yeah.
Basically, I had this love and this passion for hip hop that I still have that I never lost. And like you said, that those goosebumps that you got when you did that Queen event, I would get that every time I heard a new Nas record or a new Biggie record, or the first time I heard Rakim or Slick Rick.
Yeah.
And when I discovered that I had this talent to write these rhymes, one of the first demos I ever recorded, I was about 14 years old. I went to my boy Ray's house, and I'd never been in a studio. I'd never been able to work with a producer who did original beats. I used to buy the cassette singles, so I'd have the B-side, so I'd have an instrumental to rap to.
Right.
And then I actually got in the studio, and the first time I heard myself on wax, to quote an old school term, I was just like, yeah, this is it. And my earliest memory, to answer your question, was 8 years old, breakdancing, the crowd erupting, and that bug never left me. And I knew that I didn't want to be the world's greatest breakdancer, that I wanted to be a frontman. I wanted to be an artist. So
you're addicted to applause?
Addicted to applause? Early, probably.
You are. Shut up, you are.
Early, probably. That live recognition was very addictive.
Right.
But then, I mean, let's be honest. Like you said, what you do, that you're getting paid to be a part of legendary moments and being able to have fun and fucking actually help creative people you respect and have the ability to make a good living at it, I don't think it could be matched. So many times in my life and my career, I've been dissuaded, I've been discouraged, I've been like, fuck, can I just catch a break? I've been consistent. I never sold out. I've been true to myself creatively. I took the long game, Okay, I wasn't doing Ja Rule records in 03.
Right.
I was signed to Gangstar. You know what I mean? I didn't rap on every reggaeton remix.
Right.
You know, I felt like I did take the long game, but then I was having a conversation with a good friend, and he said, look, if you won $50 million, $100 million in the lotto tomorrow, what would you do with that money? Would you stop doing music? Fuck no. I'd probably dump most of it into music. So if I can afford to continue doing this, I feel like I win the lotto continuously.
Yo,
despite the rejection.
Real talk. We're all very fortunate, all three of us, to do stuff that we enjoy doing, and we've worked for it. But at the same time, I never want to say like lucky, because it's not luck. This is work. This is effort, and we're extremely fortunate, all three of us, to just be able to wake up and do something that we appreciate, something that we love doing. I mean, I edit, I film. You're in show business. You're an MC / all the other. I mean,
well, you know what? Also,
you know what the interesting part is like life gives you opportunities, right? And just got to be ready for it. So,
what a gem! That's a gem.
I think opportunities are always there, and if you're ready for them, you will always be able to take those opportunities, right? So it has something to do with being prepared. I think it has something to do with preparing yourself
constantly,
mentally, every day. Got to prepare yourself mentally every day for that opportunity to come.
That's right.
Because if the opportunity shows up and then you prepare yourself, you will not
miss the opportunity.
You will not
which
be able
I'm sure
to
has happened to all of us at different points in our career.
I in that case, I really don't. I disagree, because every time I had an opportunity, I took it. I was prepared for it, and even if I wasn't prepared,
you learned on the go.
I still executed it the right way.
Really, and, I'm from a big train of thought where you don't step unless the ground's concrete, like it's solid. I don't like not knowing.
Maybe not so much in this business, though.
And you know what I mean?
Well, you like your paycheck.
Yeah, you gotta be mobile, and you gotta be flexible in this business.
Well, I think it's about you just mentioned the right word, is stability. You know, nothing in this business is stable.
I couldn't agree with Viekko more.
Fair, but like I don't like getting involved with anything unless I have that vibe that this next move is a good move. If I have any type, I don't need to make that move.
Well, listen, you're only going to take opportunities that you feel.
I think it's about being secure with who you are and what you can do. Every opportunity that shows up,
that's right.
You can make the best out of it.
Okay.
If you will never be satisfied with evaluating an opportunity, until you really go and get the opportunity. It's always easy to say, you know what, that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Thanks for the opportunity, but I think there's always something that comes out of this, taking an opportunity, even if you didn't like it, you tried it.
That's right.
Didn't work out. It's not for me.
You know what's behind it.
It'll teach you something for the next opportunity to come.
Personally, also, I feel like
that's
something.
Fair. No, I like what you just said. That's fair.
Personally, something like that. Also, you know, as being an artist or an MC, Viekko can't feature on my record or make my beat, but it was also finding niches for myself in the entertainment business where I could break bread.
I have a very interesting theory. You know why Latin music is doing so well right now? Because they all work together and bringing the genre to where it needs to be.
That's big.
Couldn't fucking agree more.
I think
hip hop was exclusive, Latin music was inclusive.
Yeah. And I think that's where the difference is currently, right? That's why Latin music is so successful. I mean, I've when you look at someone like Daddy Yankee, who's really one of the pioneers of the genre, right? He's never refused anybody to do a feature. He always understood, okay, if I bring new talent to my records, if I bring older artists to my record, it'll help. Eventually, it'll help the whole genre. So lifting up the genre will lift up every artist in that genre.
1,000,000%.
And I think that's where, unfortunately, that's where I guess pop music or hip hop or whoever
fell short.
They fall short on that.
And
they don't support each other.
And that was something we discussed many times on the podcast. That even locally, right, when we talk about the local hip hop scene.
Well, if you don't support the Montreal scene, how are you going to put it on the map?
But hold on. Latin music, I feel like there's a culture behind it that is deeper. It's like it's rooted in family and food and sharing, and there's a more cultural vibe to pop. Pop is hollow to me. Hip hop has elements of that, but only when you're with your friends.
You know what's really interesting though? When you talk about the Latin culture, you're talking about, I think it's 23 different countries currently,
Right?
Right?
Demographic
with all different upbringings, with all different different dialects, different
Versus Brooklyn versus Compton.
Yeah,
it's a big difference.
But there's no difference between a Colombian artist, jumping on a Puerto Rican
an
record
Ecuadorian
or an Argentine record
right.
or Spanish. It's about the genre. It's not about. I think they understood that very, very clearly. It's like, if we want to have a strong genre, we need to work on it together.
But it took time to get it there too.
Oh yeah, of
it
course.
Took time to get
it's 15 years, and this is my personal theory. Is like, once reggaeton became Colombian, right? I think that's opened the doors.
Right.
But I can't really prove it. But my feeling is that One Dance by Drake opened the doors to reggaeton, because the production was from Wizkid. He made it palatable for top 40 to.
I mean, it was coming for a long time. Yankee had some hits already.
Yeah, but to understand that beat and make it top 40 ready, I think Drake opened the doors for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Then Mi Gente was not really. It's not really a reggaeton record. It was an Afrobeat record. So going step by step,
the culture started
going step by
fusing.
step.
French Blue opened too with that African song there.
Exactly.
That's what he's talking
so
about, right?
so it's like step by step. The Afrobeat kind of made it palatable for reggaeton to actually go global. Ekis wasn't produced by Latin producer. It was done by Afro Bros. In Holland. So if you're looking through all the steps, the real big hits, the crossover hits, were not coming from a Puerto Rican studio. They were coming from
studio in
I mean,
Canada.
look at how much success Pitbull. I know he's obviously sometimes people think he's a cringeworthy example, but he was killing it for many years before the floodgates.
Can I tell you something funny?
Up.
Just completely off topic, but you said Pitbull. My brother ran for mayor a couple years ago, and he got about 2,000 votes, which is pretty good for an independent.
He just did it as a gag.
He did it because he's like, I just want to be mayor. And his first order of business, because there was a big Pitbull ban in the city, he said Pitbulls are allowed everywhere. Pitbull the artist, not allowed in my city. That was his first order of business.
Nice.
I remember Pitbull playing a gig like you talk, and it's funny he said that because it's true. The Latin shows used to get pushed out to the suburbs.
Right.
And I remember when Pitbull, he started fucking flying. They brought him to a small club in the South Shore, and he did 3 songs on the dance floor of my buddy's club, but like he flew in on a private plane. Like he was already big.
Yeah.
And definitely, I do credit Viko with being the first one to have the balls to say, I'm going to fucking put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to rent the Bell Center. I'm going to bring Nicky Jam. I'm going to bring Romeo Santos. And one just got bigger than the other. Talk to us a little bit about, from you starting your own live events business to, touring globally with Romeo Santos.
Anything we have in this business, is I can change my company name, I can change my letterhead, I can, but I only have my name.
That's
right. So it's all about reputation. It's all about your network, and it's all about people speaking for you and how good you do business. I was fortunate enough to create that relationship with the Bell Center, and they loved the idea, and we delivered. It was a big undertaking, and I've been giving that chance, by Nicky's team to represent them here and in Toronto, and it was a movement for the community. It was a movement for the culture. They accepted it. I think everybody loved it, and I mean each night there was 9,000 people in Toronto, 9,000 people in Montreal. It was a beautiful experience, and it's hard to replicate. But I think the majority is literally like, I posted it, and it was like, when you build it, they will come. Mm-hmm. I think you just need to stick to your ideas. You need to go till the last minute, till the doors open. You got to sell that ticket. And if you know your community, if you listen to your community, if you listen to the Latinos in town, if you listen to, most important, to the DJs, if you listen to the dance floors, you'll understand what music is playing, who people want to see. And I think you just have to believe in the process and create excitement. You have to, sometimes you're lucky and, the artist, without you knowing, releases a song that becomes a global hit. But nevertheless, even if he doesn't, you already did your research. It's going to work for the community. It's you're gonna hit right in there, and you got to find your audience. You got to go and look for your audience, and you got to get people excited. And it was 3 months of from going on sale to executing the show, and every day you just have to stay on top of it. It's the luxury of being an independent promoter that doesn't do 1,000 shows a year like someone like Veikko or Live Nation that are really like on sale show, and then they don't they have no time or personnel to look after. How many tickets did I sell in this zip code today? What event I'm going to fly at this weekend? Where's the salsa band? Where's the Zumba event? Where can I send my promoters in? I think that's the beautiful thing of being an independent promoter and having a local team that will help you execute and also come up with different ideas. There's like, if you're looking through the classifieds of Montreal, you'll see there is an Ecuadorian Independence Day, there's a Colombian Independence Day, there's a every country is represented here, and then next to that there's also the local Canadians that love Latin music, that have I went to a coffee shop today, and you go into a coffee shop and there's you just sit there, you have a coffee, and there's like, wow, there's like 3 people speaking in Spanish, 2 people speaking in French, and then they're all together speaking English. You're like, this is exactly what what Canada is about.
We're very multicultural, especially in Quebec, and I feel like even the French, the French connect to it well also.
So, I mean, there's amazing French artists, that are now going into the reggaeton world, that are La Creme and El Artiste and all these French artists that are using the same rhythms. And really recreating that movement and are featuring with different Latin artists. There is artists that Diplo has found in France that are creating that sound.
It's a fun genre too. I feel like people are there to have a good time.
It is a fun genre, and even like I saw personally, being with Viko at his concerts, everybody's having a good time.
That's
The
it.
vibe
That's
is light. There's a lot of women, and you're going there for a party.
Yeah.
Not like fuck you, impress me.
Yeah.
And a lot of hip hop tours are that. It's like, if you don't flop, kudos to you.
The most important thing is it makes you move.
That's right.
I think that's, it makes you move, it makes you have fun, no matter if you understand the language or not,
100%.
And on top of that, they bring a great show. They bring, Romeo Santos brings 13 band members, fully live. 7 guitars, percussion.
That's what I was gonna get to.
Everything that is there. It's like you're getting the experience. You're getting real musicians. You're getting a 2.5 hour show.
So the next, just so they know chronologically, the next, huge artist that Viko brought to Bell Center, and was it Toronto ACC?
Yeah.
Was Romeo Santos. Like he said, 2.5 hour show, major production. After that, they bring Viko to do their worldwide tour. Am I correct?
Correct. Yeah. So, interestingly enough, I've did that in partnership with Live Nation, and having the relationship with Romeo, and at that time with his manager Johnny Marines.
I think you introduced us.
They gave me the opportunity to add Montreal to the tour. It was one of those moments where it was like, we're not really feeling that Romeo should go there. And
you got that one.
Yeah, and then I said, no, I want to do it. I think it's really important.
Yeah, we were all there. We had a great time.
And
that sounds like the one.
And it was, when you go on sale, there wasn't a lot of time. It was like we had like 2 weeks to set it up.
Yeah.
The The team from Evenco is really helpful. The Bell Center guys are amazing.
Yeah, they're great.
And we went on sale, and the first week, it was like, Montreal was right there next to Madison Square Garden. When you saw the sales and it going up and up and up and up.
I was very impressed.
And it didn't slow down, and it was, it was head to head, like for the.
Isn't that wild? Like Montreal, you wouldn't expect to have that kind of like Latin.
It was like the top show on the whole tour next to LA.
Really, I didn't know that.
The Garden, yeah. It was.
I didn't know that.
Sales wise, it never stopped, and it kept up there, and and it's like we ended up selling 13,500 tickets or something.
I remember I was there that day, and fucking every time Veikko's in town, I'm always there for him, whatever he needs. We run around and we have a great time. I was sick as a dog, if you remember. I had gastro, and I said, bro, like, I'm going to come to the show, but I don't even think I can stand, let alone have a drink. And they were so nice. They put a fucking little chair in front of the front stage, like a little wooden chair. And I was just sitting there I hadn't ate in a week. But the fucking show was amazing.
You were in shape, though.
I mean, I did my best. I didn't drink because I would have died. But it was great, man. And salute to everything you've been able to do, because, it's always a huge undertaking and a huge challenge. There's so many details that can fuck these tours and these events up. And, after years of doing it, you've made it look easy.
Wow.
And that is an art. So you, my friend, are an artist.
It's all about being prepared.
You are prepared.
I like that. No, I that's the best thing I got from today personally. Thank you. Is be prepared for those opportunities, because you got to take them. Sometimes I pass, and what you said today was no, you take them. Just be prepared.
I'm gonna since we're not live, I'm gonna go research this, because my nephew, who is now in the running for quarterback for the LA Rams.
Oh wow!
Really?
And
congratulations, to your nephew.
I know he's gonna get it.
Fuck yeah!
And he's been training all his life, and all he does is preparing himself.
Right.
He's been giving opportunities all his life, and he's been able to take them. They gave him, I know the philosophy, but they gave him, when he got to the Rams, they gave him a little booklet with certain instructions, and this one is preparation.
Okay.
Right. So I'm gonna just read it up, because you can then cut it together and use it for yourself.
Yeah, if you don't mind, show it to the camera's on you there.
It's right here.
Small. Okay.
It's from the manual of
very small,
of the Rams.
Preparation is not usually fun or exciting.
Okay.
It can be tedious and unfulfilling in the short term, yet it's absolutely essential. To enjoy success, you must let me cut this.
To enjoy success.
To enjoy success, you must discipline yourself day after day to develop your skills, increase your knowledge, make new personal contacts, and lay the groundwork for your success. When you prepare yourself, you're always in the right place at the right time. And I think, without even using that as a philosophy, I've always lived my life like that. I think life is about always waking up and being prepared and looking for as much knowledge and information. I think it's, what we do in the business is about, we're only as strong as our network.
1,000,000%.
So connecting to people and exchanging thoughts, just like this podcast here, I think
that's it's so funny. That should be the mission statement of this show, because that's why I wanted to build this platform.
Yeah, I mean, we work in the business that has no limits.
That's right.
But it also has no rules.
That's right.
Right, and it also has no teachers.
No protocol.
Right, there's no protocol. there's no books. It's
the wild fucking west.
It's the wild west. It's there's Berkeley, and there's beautiful institutions that can bring you closer to the business. But it's a day-to-day on the street.
If you're not in it, you're not in it.
Learning by doing experience, and you end up, like you said, it's like, even on the artist side, even on my side, you end up working with people that teach you the wrong things, that have their own philosophies that you might not be yours. So it's very important for you out there to find people with the same morals that were given to you by your parents. Because if you don't find the same like-minded people with the same morals, you're going to get fucked over every day, right? So check out, the people that you really want to work with have to have the same baseline, the same morals that you have. If not, you're constantly going to be clashing. That's when you get, when people come and steal your shit, people come and steal your money, steer you in the wrong direction. If it's hard to find your bubble, it's hard to find the people that you want to work with. But it's important to have a team in this business, and the team has to have the same moral compass.
1,000,000%. And I think that what you said, from the Rams manual was such a fucking gem. And exactly what you're talking about is the whole reason I wanted to do this, because there's nobody in our city who's sitting down with people like yourself, really picking their brain and getting to the nitty gritty. There's so much misinformation out there. There's so many people who are, shooting off in wild directions that, we're hoping to make this a place where people could tune in and hear it took you a lifetime to amass this knowledge that you just articulated very simply. It took you 20, 25 years of working in this business to get there. So, thank you.
And I still learn every day.
You know what they say, a smart person learns from others' mistakes. A stupid person needs to continuously make them for themselves. and it sounds ridiculously simple, but it really is that sometimes. And I think that the gift of this business is connecting.
I've read it yesterday in a British Airways magazine. It's being in this world, and you could take that on your business, on my business, on your business, on your personal life. It's about eliminating unforced errors, right?
I like that.
If you eliminate unforced errors, shit that you just wanted to do and you knew it's going to be a mistake, right? It's shit people tell you to do and you knew it's going to be wrong. If you start eliminating that from your life, from your career, from your personal life, you already done, you're already going the right direction.
You paved the way to let success
eliminate unforced errors.
That's fucking amazing. I love that. And that's why this is the best business in the world, because even though we have absolutely no security and certainty or stability, we do get to connect with like-minded individuals when we're lucky. And I appreciate you for coming on. I appreciate everything you're doing in this business. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. I really appreciate you, man. This is the MOT Podcast. I am your boy, Bless. Of course, Lemme-Kno. Thank you very much for coming on, Veikko.
One time on the MIC.